Have you ever had the strange feeling that someone wasn't truly happy to see you? They smiled when you entered the room. They spoke politely. They even asked how you were doing. Yet every time you walked away from them, something felt off. You couldn't explain it. There was no argument. No obvious hostility. No direct insult. And yet, deep inside, a quiet voice kept telling you that something wasn't right. Most people ignore this feeling. They convince themselves that they are overthinking. They tell themselves they are being too sensitive. After all, the person seems kind on the surface. But what if that feeling is not paranoia? What if your instincts are noticing something your conscious mind has not yet fully understood? One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that hatred always looks like hatred. We imagine enemies as people who openly oppose us, criticize us, or attack us directly. But life is rarely that simple. In reality, the most dangerous hostility is often hidden behind friendliness. It hides behind compliments. It hides behind support. It hides behind smiles. Friedrich Nietzsche understood this better than most. He believed that human beings are often driven by emotions they refuse to admit, even to themselves. Resentment, envy, insecurity, and hidden hostility can shape a person's behavior without them ever openly expressing what they truly feel. As a result, someone can appear supportive while secretly hoping for your downfall. They can appear loyal while quietly resenting your growth. And if you don't learn to recognize these signs, you may spend years surrounded by people who are not truly on your side. Today, we are going to explore 7 powerful psychological signs that reveal when someone secretly hates you, even if they pretend to be your friend. These signs are subtle. They rarely appear in dramatic ways. Instead, they emerge through small behaviors, repeated patterns, and emotional reactions that most people overlook. But once you learn to recognize them, you will begin to see certain relationships in an entirely different light. The third sign, in particular, is one of the most disturbing because it is often mistaken for compassion. So stay with me until the end. The first sign is that your success makes them uncomfortable. Imagine this. You've worked hard for months, maybe even years, toward an important goal. Perhaps you received a promotion at work. Maybe you started a business and finally saw it succeed. Maybe you lost weight, improved your finances, or achieved something that once seemed impossible. Naturally, you're excited. You want to share your happiness with the people around you. You expect those closest to you to celebrate with you. And many people will. Genuine friends may feel inspired by your success. They may admire your discipline. They may even feel a little jealous, because they are human. But despite that jealousy, they are still happy for you. They want to see you win. However, someone who secretly resents you reacts differently. The moment you share your good news, something changes. Their smile seems forced. Their enthusiasm feels artificial. Their congratulations sound rehearsed. Instead of celebrating your achievement, they immediately begin looking for ways to reduce its importance. They say things like, "Well, you got lucky." Or, "The timing was probably perfect." Or perhaps, "Let's see if it lasts." Notice what is happening here. Rather than acknowledging your effort, they focus on external factors. Rather than recognizing your achievement, they search for reasons why it isn't that impressive. At first, this may seem harmless. After all, people say insensitive things all the time. But when this reaction becomes a pattern, it reveals something deeper. Nietzsche believed that some people experience intense discomfort when they see others succeed. Not because that success harms them, but because it forces them to confront painful truths about themselves. Every achievement you accomplish becomes a mirror. It reflects possibilities they never pursued, risks they never took, goals they never achieved. Instead of facing their own limitations, they find it easier to diminish your accomplishments. Your success becomes a source of irritation rather than inspiration. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who always seems supportive when you're struggling but becomes strangely distant when you're thriving? Someone who encourages you when you're average but grows cold when you begin to excel. This happens more often than people realize. The reason is simple. Some individuals feel comfortable when everyone remains at the same level. Your growth disrupts that comfort. It changes the dynamic. It forces them to acknowledge the gap between where they are and where you are becoming. And for someone filled with hidden resentment, that realization can be deeply unsettling. The truth is that people who genuinely care about you don't need your success to make them feel smaller. They can celebrate your victories without seeing them as personal defeats. They understand that your achievement does not diminish their worth. But someone who secretly hates you often sees life as a competition. Every step forward you take feels like a step backward for them. That is why they cannot fully celebrate your progress. Your success reminds them of everything they have failed to become. The second sign is that they criticize you under the disguise of honesty. This is one of the most deceptive forms of hidden hostility because it often sounds intelligent, reasonable, and even helpful. In fact, many people spend years believing that these individuals are simply being truthful. You have probably heard phrases like, "I'm only saying this because I care about you." Or, "I'm just being honest." Or perhaps, "Someone has to tell you the truth." On the surface, these statements appear noble. Honesty is generally considered a virtue. We value people who tell us the truth. We appreciate constructive feedback because it helps us grow. But there is a crucial difference between honesty and hostility disguised as honesty. Pay close attention to what these people focus on. Their comments almost always highlight your flaws. They point out your mistakes, your weaknesses, your shortcomings, and your failures. Every conversation somehow returns to what is wrong with you. Even when something positive happens, they find a way to introduce criticism. You accomplish a difficult goal, and they remind you of what you still haven't achieved. You overcome a challenge, and they focus on the mistakes you made along the way. You share a dream, and they immediately explain why it probably won't work. The most revealing detail is that they rarely criticize your actions. Instead, they criticize your identity. There is a world of difference between saying, "You made a mistake," and saying, "You're not capable." One addresses a behavior. The other attacks who you are as a person. Constructive criticism focuses on improvement. Destructive criticism focuses on limitation. Constructive criticism leaves you feeling challenged but empowered. Destructive criticism leaves you feeling smaller, weaker, and less confident than before. Nietzsche understood that some people gain a sense of superiority by making others doubt themselves. They feel stronger when they can weaken someone else's confidence. This does not always happen consciously. Often, they genuinely believe they are helping. But their behavior reveals another motive. Deep down, they are uncomfortable with confident, independent individuals. A person who believes in themselves becomes difficult to control. A person who trusts their own judgment becomes harder to manipulate. Therefore, reducing your confidence serves a hidden purpose. The next time someone offers criticism, pay attention to how you feel afterward. Do you feel motivated to improve? Or do you feel discouraged and defeated? Do their words help you grow? Or do they simply make you question your worth? The answer may reveal whether their honesty is genuine or whether it is simply resentment wearing a respectable mask. The third sign is perhaps the most disturbing of all. They secretly enjoy your failures. Most people assume hatred expresses itself through anger. But sometimes it reveals itself through satisfaction. Not satisfaction in your success, but satisfaction in your suffering. Think about the moments when life became difficult for you. Maybe a relationship ended. Maybe you lost an opportunity. Maybe a business failed. Maybe you experienced a painful setback. During those moments, certain people suddenly seemed more comfortable around you. They became more attentive, more present, more interested in your life. At first glance, this appears compassionate. It looks like support. It feels like concern. But if you observe carefully, something doesn't quite fit. There is a strange calmness in their reaction. A subtle relief. An almost invisible sense of comfort. It's as though your misfortune has restored something for them. When you were succeeding, they felt uneasy. When you were advancing, they felt threatened. But now that you have stumbled, the tension disappears. Your failure reassures them. It brings you back down to a level where they feel comfortable again. Nietzsche often explored this dark aspect of human psychology. He recognized that some individuals experience hidden pleasure when they witness the weakness of others. It is not something people like to admit. In fact, most would deny it completely. Yet it exists. When someone feels inferior, your success becomes painful. But your failure becomes comforting. It allows them to feel superior again, even if only temporarily. What makes this sign especially dangerous is its subtlety. They don't laugh at your pain. They don't openly celebrate your struggles. That would be too obvious. Instead, they react in quieter ways. They stop encouraging you. They become passive observers. They offer sympathy without genuine hope. They listen to your problems without wanting to see you overcome them. Deep down, your struggle confirms a story they have been telling themselves all along, that you are not as capable, talented, or exceptional as your success once suggested. And this is where hidden hatred often reveals its true face. Genuine friends want to see you recover. They want to see you rise again. Your setbacks hurt them because they care about your well-being. But those who secretly resent you find comfort in your failures because your failures feed their ego. Your pain reduces the gap between their reality and yours. The question, then, is simple. Who becomes genuinely excited when your life improves? And who seems strangely comfortable when it falls apart? The answer may reveal more about their true feelings than years of polite words ever could. The fourth sign is that they turn everything into a competition. At first, this behavior can seem harmless. In fact, many people mistake it for ambition. They assume the person is simply driven, confident, or highly motivated. But over time, a pattern begins to emerge. No matter what happens in your life, they somehow make it about themselves. You tell them about a new achievement, and within seconds they begin talking about something bigger that they have done. You mention a trip you enjoyed, and they immediately explain how their experience was more exciting. You share good news, and somehow the conversation shifts back to them. It is as if they are incapable of allowing your moment to remain yours. Think carefully about the people in your life. Have you ever noticed someone who seems unable to celebrate your victories without introducing a comparison? Perhaps you tell them that you received a promotion, and they respond by mentioning someone who achieved even more. Maybe you proudly share a personal accomplishment, only for them to quickly point out their own success. The strange thing is that these responses often happen so naturally that you may not recognize them at first. Yet after enough conversations, a clear pattern emerges. Every achievement becomes a contest. Every success becomes a comparison. Every victory becomes an opportunity for them to prove that they are still ahead. Why does this happen? Because people who secretly resent you often view relationships through the lens of status. They are constantly measuring who is winning and who is losing. In their minds, life is not a shared journey. It is a ranking system. Someone must be above, and someone must be below. As long as they perceive themselves as superior, they feel comfortable. But the moment you begin to grow, improve, or succeed, their sense of security starts to crack. Nietzsche believed that many forms of resentment are rooted in comparison. Rather than focusing on their own path, resentful individuals become obsessed with the progress of others. They constantly evaluate where they stand relative to everyone around them. This creates a dangerous cycle. Instead of finding inspiration in another person's success, they interpret it as a threat. Instead of asking, what can I learn from this? They ask, how does this affect my position? That is why your achievements can trigger such strange reactions. To you, success may simply represent growth. To them, it represents competition. Every step you take forward feels like a challenge to their identity. Every accomplishment threatens the image they have created of themselves. The most revealing detail is that these individuals rarely seem satisfied. Even when they outperform others, their satisfaction is temporary. Why? Because comparison is a game that never ends. There will always be someone richer, smarter, stronger, more attractive, or more successful. As a result, they become trapped in an endless pursuit of validation. And anyone who threatens that validation becomes a source of discomfort. A genuine friend does not need to compete with you. They can admire your strengths without feeling diminished by them. They can celebrate your victories without needing to surpass them. They understand that another person's success does not reduce their own value. But someone who secretly dislikes you often cannot separate your growth from their insecurity. That is why every conversation becomes a subtle contest. They are not listening to connect. They are listening to compare. Pay attention to how people respond when you share good news. Do they celebrate with you? Or do they immediately search for a way to reclaim the spotlight? The answer may reveal more than you think. The fifth sign is that they quietly disrespect your boundaries. This sign is often overlooked because it rarely appears dramatic. There are no explosive confrontations. No obvious acts of betrayal. Instead, it reveals itself through small, repeated violations that slowly accumulate over time. At first, the behavior seems insignificant. They interrupt you when you speak. They dismiss your opinions. They pressure you to do things you have already said no to. They make jokes about subjects that clearly make you uncomfortable. When you express a preference, they ignore it. When you set a limit, they challenge it. When you ask for space, they refuse to respect it. Individually, these actions may not seem serious. But together, they reveal something important. Respect and resentment cannot comfortably exist in the same place. People who genuinely value you recognize your right to make choices. They understand that you are an individual with your own needs, opinions, priorities, and limits. Even when they disagree with you, they respect your autonomy. They may not always like your decisions, but they acknowledge your right to make them. Someone who secretly dislikes you behaves differently. They struggle to respect your boundaries because, deep down, they do not fully respect you. They may not consciously realize this, but their actions reveal it. Your preferences become inconveniences. Your limits become obstacles. Your independence becomes something they quietly resist. Consider how some people react when you begin setting healthy boundaries. Perhaps you stop tolerating disrespect. Maybe you decide to protect your time more carefully. Maybe you become less available to those who constantly drain your energy. A supportive person may need time to adjust, but ultimately they will respect your decision. A resentful person often reacts with irritation, guilt-tripping, criticism, or mockery. Why? Because boundaries change relationships. They remove opportunities for control. They limit access. They force people to treat you differently. And not everyone is comfortable with that. Nietzsche often spoke about the importance of self-respect and personal sovereignty. He believed that becoming your authentic self requires the courage to establish your own values rather than constantly living according to the expectations of others. The moment you begin doing this, certain people become uncomfortable. Not because your boundaries are unreasonable, but because they benefited from the absence of those boundaries. One of the clearest signs of hidden hostility is the inability to respect your limits. These individuals may claim to care about you. They may insist they have your best interests at heart. Yet their actions consistently communicate a different message. They expect access without accountability. They expect compliance without respect. They expect you to accommodate them while ignoring your own needs. Watch how people respond when you say no. A simple no often reveals more about a person than 100 conversations. The people who genuinely value you may not always like your boundaries, but they will respect them. The people who secretly resent you often see those same boundaries as a challenge to overcome. And in that reaction, their true feelings begin to emerge. The sixth sign is that they constantly gossip about other people. At first, this may not seem related to hidden hatred at all. In fact, gossip is so common that many people hardly notice it anymore. Conversations about other people's mistakes, failures, relationships, and personal problems happen everywhere. At work, among friends, within families, and even among people who claim to value honesty and loyalty. But if you pay close attention, gossip reveals something far deeper than most realize. Imagine sitting with someone who regularly speaks negatively about others. They criticize friends behind their backs. They expose private information. They mock people's failures. They seem strangely energized when discussing another person's mistakes. At first, you may feel included. After all, they are sharing information with you. They are trusting you with secrets. They may even make you feel like part of an exclusive circle. But there is a dangerous illusion hidden in this dynamic. Many people assume that because someone speaks kindly to them, they must also speak kindly about them when they are absent. Unfortunately, that assumption is often wrong. Think about it logically. If a person repeatedly betrays the trust of others when those people are not present, what makes you believe you are the exception? What makes you think your name never becomes the subject of those same conversations? The reality is that gossip often reveals a person's character far more than the people they discuss. Nietzsche believed that resentment frequently expresses itself indirectly. Rather than confronting people openly, resentful individuals attack from a distance. They criticize behind closed doors. They undermine reputations. They spread doubt. They seek power through words because they lack the courage or confidence to address issues directly. There is a reason gossip feels satisfying to some people. For a brief moment, it creates the illusion of superiority. When they focus on someone else's flaws, they can temporarily forget their own. When they tear another person down, they experience a fleeting sense of elevation. It is not genuine confidence. It is borrowed confidence. Confidence built upon the weakness of others. The problem is that this habit never remains focused on a single target. Eventually, everyone takes a turn. Today they gossip about a coworker. Tomorrow they gossip about a friend. Eventually, they gossip about you. And what makes this especially dangerous is that these individuals often appear incredibly friendly. They smile. They joke. They offer support. Yet beneath the surface, they collect information about people and quietly use it as social currency. The seventh and final sign is perhaps the most dangerous of all because it is often mistaken for love. They prefer the smaller version of you. This sign is subtle. In fact, many people spend years believing these individuals care deeply about them. The relationship may feel close. The person may have known you for a long time. They may have supported you during difficult periods of your life. On the surface, everything appears normal. Thank you for watching. If this exploration of human and Nietzsche's philosophy resonated with you, let me know in the comments which sign struck you the most. Have you ever encountered someone who appeared supportive on the surface but secretly resented your success? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this journey into the deeper truths of human nature, don't forget to subscribe for more insights into philosophy, psychology, self-mastery, and the timeless wisdom of history's greatest thinkers. Until next time, remember this: not everyone who walks beside you wants to see you reach your destination, but that should never stop you from continuing the journey.